What's up, y'all? You are listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative M Projects. I'm your host, Melissa Sharee. I'm here with Eric Seats, Grammy award-winning producer, and we have a special feature artist with us today. Let me tell you real quick a little bit about this person. He is an international recording artist, y'all. Singer, songwriter, vocal coach, and music arranger. Okay, he started his journey in singing at the age of 12. He was a dozen, okay, when he started popping off. He actually won Heaven 600 Gospel Radio competition, and he released his first gospel single, I'm Still Here. This person has shared the stage and performed for artists and bands, including but not limited to musicians such as the artist Prince, Say Hey Now, Mike Scott, Greg Boyer, BET's founder, CEO Sheila C. Johnson, Patti LaBelle, Hassani Dada, Avery Sunshine, Lil Mo. There's so many, y'all. Melba Moore, Kathy Taylor, Belle Armstrong, Paula Champion, Dr. Eric Mason. I mean, the list goes on, y'all. We're going to get into some more when we actually talk to this person. But if you were here with me, I would say give it up, put your hands together for the one and only FREEDOM IMANI. Welcome.
That's right. Y'all give it up for Freedom. Freedom. Welcome, brother.
Yay, thank y'all.
I just learned something new when she read down all those credentials. That's a great thing. That's a great thing.
You learned something new too?
Man, there's a plethora of names you just named. And I'm like, wow. Okay. You see my head?
Yeah.
My head would turn all kind of ways. Wow.
And I didn't even name them all. So FREEDOM, okay, you got started singing at 12. How do you remember that it was 12? I mean, what was happening at 12?
My uncle, God rest his soul, his name was Raymond Wells. And he was a singer in the gospel industry around the time with like Rance Allen and all of them. And he was good friends with Daryl Coley. And Daryl Coley was my godfather. And, you know, it wasn't something that I spoke about because I didn't understand what any of that was when I was younger. I just saw these people come into my grandmother's house singing. I'm just like, oh, they could sing. So it was one time when I was 12 and I had to sing and Daryl Coley had to preach. And after I got finished singing, he was like, you remind me of somebody, like this guy named Raymond Wells. And I was like, yeah, that was my uncle. He was like, Nook. I was like, yeah. And he was like, I'm your godfather. I'm like,
wow.
Hey, you know, so I remembered them teaching me, and they used to have like battles to where like they would sing and I would have to repeat after them. And it was just like an exchange. So I remember those things when I was little, and it was like, I would never forget that.
Wow. You said you had a real life, it just escaped me right now. Dang, the sisters, come on, y'all, Clark sisters. You had a real life, like Clark sisters moments coming up, doing battles and repeating after somebody.
And my whole entire family sings. Like a lot of my family are in the music field now, but gospel wise, it's like, my family is like, if you're married into the family, you're born into the family, everything sings. So it was like our Thanksgiving is just like sitting around the organ and like everybody singing.
Wow. So you are the epitome of the phrase, you get it honest, because you got it honest. You didn't have to think about it. It was just in there. Whoop.
And you had to sing.
You had to sing.
You can't be in the band if you ain't singing.
That's the real school right there. I call that the real school.
But you wanted to sing. Come on now. I mean, you wanted to.
Well, honestly, to answer the question fully, I really got it because one day I became cocky and I was in church. And I didn't understand what that was. And my mother took me off the choir. She didn't allow me to do anything. And I had to learn what it was to be humble and to understand that this does not belong to you. So when I went through that process, one day my pastor picked me up and put me on his lap and I started singing. And, you know, actually the song was You Are My Friend by Patti LaBelle.
Wow.
And I sung the song and my pastor was like, okay, like he has it now, like he got it. And then I just started doing ministry in church like every Sunday.
How old were you when that happened?
9.
They start us early in church. We know that. That's 5. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was 5.
Wow. Now see, well, for those that don't know, FREEDOM I had the privilege of featuring him on my first record, which was Project CDM Volume 1.
Yeah.
And I thank you for joining me on that. That's still one of my favorites out of the 18 songs on it is one of your, yours, So in Love. And he
Wow.
penned that. His vocal arrangement on that is impeccable. We still have more work to do. But so outside of the singing, let's talk about because you're a performer, you're also a writer. So it's a development, and there's stages of this, I guess. Or were you already writing as a kid?
Yep. I still have
Yeah.
cassette tapes.
Yeah, I can relate. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
I have a record player that I got from Walmart about 5 years ago that plays the record, and then it plays CD, it plays MP3, and then on the side you can put your cassette tape in. So I've been able to listen to like all of my old stuff and match it with the new stuff.
Please send me a link.
That's
to that.
dope. I'm like, I need that myself. And you said
Walmart.
Please send. Yeah, I will have to get on that. But yeah, is it? And another thing that and another thing I admire too, if you guys ever have, well, after this, we got to let them know where to find Freedom and everything on IG and all the social media platforms. But one thing about him, you get into character on your shows, and he demands the stage, and there's no denying you're fearless on stage, and that's a part of captivating people, and because it's more than just being able to sing or play or write, but it's good to be well-rounded, and you're super diverse too as well. Shout out to you, man. Kudos to you for the Prince tribute and everything and you. I love that you always have a band with you too, and you don't just take shortcuts. You keep that live element on stage, and that's very key.
I love live.
So look, of all the things that you're doing, okay, now we already know that a lot of it has come just naturally, like you don't really have to work at it. It just comes. But my question is, and you've been surrounded by people that you pick things up from, but aside from that, have you done anything in terms of like specific training to develop yourself in terms of like your skills and abilities and your talent?
Yes. I graduated from Frederick Douglass High School. My teacher name was Mario Fitzgerald. And when I first got there, I was coming from church and I was singing and I auditioned and she said, "This is raucous." And she was like, "If you're going to be in a choir, you have to sing bass." I was like, "I don't sing bass." And she was like, "Well, you can't join the choir." So I was like, "Where's the bass section?" They taught me training there, classical. And then I had another teacher by the name of Dolores Jones. Her father was like this famous opera singer. And so she taught me how to sing classical. And then they introduced me to Cab Calloway's nephew. And I started to get training with their family. And they helped me study music and learn how to do all of those things. And from there, they passed me on to another vocal coach that actually did some work with Mahalia Jackson. And I was told that I learned how and mastered how to sing to people, but I forgot how to sing to myself.
That's deep.
And they made me look in the mirror and they made me take off my glasses and they said, "You're ashamed of who you are." And I looked in the mirror and I broke down crying. And like ever since then, I've been able to connect because too many of us are afraid to go back to our past. So I've learned on this journey how to go back to my past and bring my past to my present, sitting in the front row and say thank you. So that way I don't have to keep looking back and thank my past for where it has built me to be where I am today, because you can't discredit your legacy unless you're just trying to build a name. But I learned that your legacy is much greater than a name. So with that, like I've been able to be still and be back and have the honor to speak to people that people don't know I speak to. Like I speak to more people than people think that I do. And I thank God for that, because it's been able to keep me where I am humbly. Like the conversations that I have with my brother Eric, like no one knows that. Like, we're not promoting, like we're on the phone and talking to her, but it's like when we talk, it's always at the time that it needs to happen. And both of us, like, we leave like with that healing. And the thing with everything is like, no one really knows their purpose. A lot of people don't. And I know that God gave me a gift, but like my calling is to like minister and help. So God had to trust me with this gift in order to go out into the strange world to bring them back with my gift. And if you know what your true purpose is, you won't be affected by what the world calls you, because you know what you're called to do. And it took some time for me to understand that.
Yeah, speak
Very
to
well
that
said.
in terms of it taking you some time, because like you said, a lot of people don't know their purpose, especially like the younger people that may be listening. They're trying to like
Mhm.
they're trying to figure it out. At what point did you lock in and be like, yes, this is my purpose, I know what it is? And was it truly an organic type of thing, or was it something very specific that happened where it clicked?
It took some time. What is it? Stacey Dove Daniels, songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to work with her when I was in this R&B group by the name of 4 Elements, and we had the honor to record with her and
Wow.
I want to get the name right, Chef Crawford, and we were doing work with them, and we were doing some stuff and we were recording and we never released it, but I had a chance to work with her, and she called me one day and she said, God is not going to release you right now. And I said, why? She said, because right now he's trying to enlarge your legacy. I said to her, I don't want him to enlarge my legacy.
Uh-oh, we lost
I
her.
was, I was like,
Okay.
somebody tried to call me. I was like, I don't, like, I want it now. And she was like, no, like, he has to enlarge it. So like throughout the years and different things happening, then the song came out by Donald Lawrence, Enlarge My Territory. And I was just like, oh, that's what she meant. You know, so now I understand it was more things I kept saying, God, why me? But I learned from everything that I've been through up until now, why not me? So when people hear me sing, it's not because I'm so great, it's because I'm studying it and I'm living it. And I've actually been through everything that I'm singing about, from whatever you can name. I've been through it and I survived it. So when I sing, it's going to pierce you because I've been through it. That makes a complete difference. It's not fake, you know?
Yeah.
So
Shout out to Dove Daniels, because now I'm reminded of how me and you are connected, and it had to be through Dove, and she's such a connector in that way too. So I don't know if you were involved in any of those programs.
I'm gonna
One of
tell
the
you,
many. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna tell you exactly how we met. After I had a chance to get up on stage with everybody, with Miss Patty, afterwards, I never came backstage. I left. I was excited. Praise the Lord. Thank you. Met Miss Roberta, talked to her. I went back to my hotel, went to sleep. It was an honor. Thank you, Jesus. And then I was doing a radio show in LA, and I was talking of different musicians, and your name came up. And I started talking about you, and you heard it. And then you hit me on Instagram and you invited me out to come to Next Great Drummer. By then I cut my dreads off, and he was just talking to me real like, yeah, like, I like your work. I thank you for blessing. I'm just like, okay. He was like, I want to work with you. I was like, I actually sung with you before. He was like, yeah. And then I showed him the picture, showed you the picture. And then he was like, that was you. He was like, yo, you have to be on my project. That's how we linked back up.
Wow.
Takes you back seats.
Yeah.
But the
how
crazy
things-
part was I already knew him before I met him through Stacey, because she was always talking about you in the studio. You got to meet Eric. And I was like, I don't know who he is. So when I did the radio station, I had so much to talk about because I looked you up, I read about you, and then I had a chance to sing with you with Patty. So it was just like, I know this guy, you know?
Man, this is I love how everything unfolds, and how you don't see it right away, or sometimes you meet somebody and it's not like we got the work done that next week after meeting, but you know, now on this interview, here we are again. And I said this just yesterday at the dental office, because I was just thinking like how it's a small world, and if it used to be 6 degrees of separation, it's probably now 1. And I'm thinking like, dang, and it's hard not to know people everywhere. But I guess when you're busy, and a lot of times, you know, what tells on us is our work and our reputations do precede us. So our work ethic a lot of times will beat us to whatever it is. And either you've gained some trust or not so much. You've been very consistent, young man, in your endeavors. One thing about Freedom is that I've never not seen you busy. And it's not like you have some big label behind you pushing you. It's your energy. You gotta tell people where that energy comes from. We know it's the Lord, but well, I'm not gonna answer that for you. I'm gonna stay in my lane.
Because some people always like, it's all God. Like, yeah, listen, it is all God, but God gives us the authority. So we have to speak about it. The thing that has driven me even more of this year is I feel like I'm living my first 7. Like when I was 7 years old, there was a lot of things that happened to me, in the past and in my family to where I had to live with a lot of that. So I was singing, living, signing, and working with people, not so much for myself, but for the heart of them, because I just was taught to seek the needs of the people, not knowing that there was a limit or it could be an assignment. So through like all of that and going through that, like I had to shift to keep working because there was nobody that was helping me, at the time. Even when I was in high school, I was still like singing at people shows and people funerals that I didn't even know because I could sing.
Correct.
And it was like people just kept hiring me for my ability and not for my soul. And I just was like, I know I have a good voice, but you're not just going to put me on something to yell and scream because I have the ability. Like, I want to sing. So it's like the only way I could do that is just ask God to, instead of putting me in the front, keep me in the back so that I can learn. Like, I just want to learn. And that's why when certain contracts was offered to me from different labels, I turned them down because it wasn't my time. God would tell me no. And I never suffered. I learned. And my drive that keeps me going is just the yearning to learn. Like if I haven't learned and accomplished what I need to learn in the business entertainment, entertainment business, but it's business. Like I don't want to move if I don't know what that is, because my talent can't save me from that. Like I need to know what that is and what does it stem from? What's the feeling of it? So I've learned how to just take my time, and I win more by taking time, just like a push-up. You do them fast, you do them slow, you get better results. So I want to learn. I want to help you. I want to learn.
That, and I feel like that's the impatience that we have today. It seems like, and because I come across a lot of people, because I love to work with any and everybody as long as they're just as driven as I am. And half that is, I guess any kind of relationship is being evenly yoked and things of that nature. But I lost my train of thought just now, and it was a good one too. I hate when that happens. But go ahead, Melissa.
It'll come back. It'll come back
to me.
So I want to hone in on something that you said about your songwriting, and in terms of like you being able to pierce, right, and touch people with your songs, specifically because you have gone through the things that you are writing about, singing about, sharing about. Because one of the things that we've been talking about this month is just the whole idea of, well, it's not even an idea. I mean, it's a real thing in terms of the discouragement that we go through as artists and as individuals, and what we specifically do to bounce back and recover and keep pushing through difficult times. And you're no exception. You know what I mean? Like we all experience some sort of discouragement. So can you speak to that? I mean, is that some of the experiences that you have, been able to write about to pierce us? Do those affect those songs?
Well, far as the new stuff that I've been working on, it's been taking some time because, like I said, things just started to click in even to this day about what Miss Stacey Dove said. So it's like I had stuff, but it wasn't time. This is the time. And because God still had to enlarge. And me being the 7th child out of my mom and dad kids, I've always followed the number 7 of completion. And it's always stuck with me, you know, wherever I went. So this is the time to do it. So within the time that I was like practicing and really just trying to get things together, that all came from me having a true understanding that my time, it's coming. Everybody want to say my time is now. Well, my time is coming. So I started to take my time and do that. So my music now is going to reflect being able to move forward, because my mom passed 2019. And I was the only one there with her. And I laid over top of her as she took her last breath. And I felt an exchange of her will to move forward. So in that process at the time when I was on tour with a band by the name of Pockets, I left them because I needed to get my house in order. Like I went through a major divorce. My mom was dying. I was 280 pounds. I had almost had a massive heart attack and I lost my memory. And no one knew about it. And it was just some things that God had to allow me to go through. And within those moments, I started to see where I gave too much. There are assignments that God puts us on, and there are assignments that we put ourselves on because that thing called ability to do. And he wants us to put on the full armor so that people don't see our humbleness. But too many times we'll walk out in that and we would get those degrees. And that's what I was doing. I didn't have a covering. Like I had my pastor, but I was just going out and, you know, just singing. And I didn't understand what that was. And once I understood it, it was like, okay. And then I had to learn there is a difference between being a healer and being an empath. And I'm both. And so you have to protect those things. And with a lot of those things, you have to be alone. You have to be okay with being alone and creating, because in order to be like a legend, like a Michael or a Prince or Patty or a Jill or different people like that, they had to go into a shut-in, or to be in ARC seats. You have to, some portion you have to shut down, even if it means you have to cut off everybody. I remember one day I was speaking to you, brother, and I was speaking to you on some things, and you said one thing to me, because I was telling you about certain things that people were saying about me that wasn't true. And you said, whatever it takes, meaning whatever they're throwing at you, it doesn't matter. Like whatever it takes, bro, like keep going. And to hear that from you was just like, okay, it just gave me more strength. Like, yeah, like I'm not going back down, like whatever it takes, I'm going to take this job, even if it's not paying me what I feel that I'm worth. What can I offer when I get there? I know it's an assignment, you know? So I learned from people like him. I learned from Miss Sarah Dash when I was on tour with Pockets. I wanted to leave. And she told me, when you enter into a factory and the machines are already running, you don't have the permission to click the switch. So she said, gather up all the proper tools you're going to need. So when the light switch clicks off, you'll have your belongings.
Woo!
And I stayed in there. So when I went on tour, I fasted and prayed. I did what I was supposed to do. Punches and things was coming, but it was flawless. God just took me through it. And when that time came, I left and I didn't lack. God gave me more because I listened. We have to listen. We don't listen.
We don't.
It's too much wisdom out here and too much biographies and movies for us as new cats coming up to be making the same mistakes.
I say that all the time. I don't have to go through everything, and nor do I want to. A lot of times, I can look at someone else's circumstance or situation, and that could be enough for me. I don't need to. Some things I'm curious about. So others, I'm like, no, because I know what my mission is. And I refuse to let anybody slow that mission down, whether they understand it or not, is not my problem. And a lot of times they won't until the mission is complete or things like that, or, you know, like, oh, that's what he was doing. Yeah. But imagine if I listen to you, you know, I'm really, you gotta be bold and brave, you know, while listening and while learning, because the beautiful thing is, me I challenged myself, and you didn't come with some long resume that I knew about. That's not why I worked with you, because you all of those names, and I know you didn't know half of the names that I've worked with. I don't walk in like life like that, because I really feel
Right.
like if those names are there or not, here's the Eric Seats. And what's funny is when you don't operate like that, you end up working with people that is like, I didn't know how I would get here, but it you didn't get you there.
I want to tell you something that you did for me that you don't even know. Around that time when I was going through what I was going through in the hospital, nobody knew about it. But around that time, I was a little heavier, if you can remember, when Layla had a concert in New York, and I was bringing you the music for So in Love. And I was coming to just drop it off and leave. But mentally, I was not in that place. I just like, God, like, I need music. I need something. I had no ticket. Unknowingly, he was just like, here, bro. And I had a chance to watch the concert, be healed, see my brother play, meet different artists. And it touched me because I don't know. No, I'm not gonna lie. I probably would not be here today from that night, because, you know, I suffered with a lot of suicidal and just thoughts and different things at the time. You know, everyone goes through so many things. And there's been so many people that God was just sent at those times. And the moments have always come when I've been able to tell them, and some I haven't. But this is that moment, bro. Like that was a day that I really needed it, because I was coming on a bus just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm like, I'm gonna just drop this off to him, like just whatever, like smoke, drink, like whatever. Like I'm done, like I'm good, like I'm weird, I'm strange, okay, whatever. And so doing So in Love was really great for me, because it was actually one of the first songs I ever wrote to be on a project. I've wrote stuff, like all of the other stuff that I've been on has been other people's music. But as far as my stuff, nobody heard unless they came to private shows. But as to be the first song that I wrote was So in Love. And that was in the studio in Baltimore. And I never heard the track. It was just basic when I recorded it. So my first time hearing it is when it was released. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I like to do that. I didn't take you through the process with me. But that song is still doing well, like overseas even. They love that song, man. So I did not know that was your first. Wow.
That's a powerful powerful story, testimony.
Very much
in terms of, you know what I mean? Like, we often like to talk about those divine things that happen that, you know, we can't predict it. We don't know they're coming, but they happen. And, you know, in your moment of need, look at that divine intervention.
He thought nothing of it. He just was like, okay, cool. Sit in the front. You're good. Anybody say anything? I'm just like scared, like, oh, okay. Trying to hide it. Like, you got the pass, bruh. Glow. I just was like, you know, just sitting there like.
Yeah. And divine moments are, I mean, we need those and they're going to happen. But outside of that, we also need to be able to recognize like when to call out for help. You know what I'm saying? So during your journey, have you had times when you've actually been like, shoot, I need to reach out to somebody intentionally for help in terms of like some of the things that you're struggling with?
No, what does the word say? And I want to get it right too. Whom much is given, much is required. And then the other scripture, God won't put no more on you than you can bear.
Thank you.
I didn't understand those scriptures until now. And so back then, my pride wouldn't allow me to ask anybody, because I was always lifted as, you know, God, you spiritual, you fast and pray. So when I call and say, I need help, oh, you know, God. So I stopped. And then the people that was around me, the armor bearers or the bishops or the pastors that I was around, they were living double lives. They were doing things. So I'm just like, is there anybody out here doing the right thing? So it put me in a box to where I had to fight to learn. Even in high school, the best thing that God blessed me with is memory. That's why it's the most greatest thing that he leaves us with when a loved one passes, is that heart of memory. And in high school, I didn't know how to read, spell, tell time, do nothing. But if you sing it to me, I'm like, boom, got it. So we're singing, his yoke is easy. I ain't no shit. But I was memorizing, and I kept doing that into 2003 when I graduated to 2004. 2005, I started to teach myself. And unknowingly, I just was determined that you need to learn this. Like, your memory is good, but you need to start learning. And I started to teach myself. And it wasn't until I was in the studio recording with the group. No, when I was recording for BET for the Soul Train project, and they threw the words in front of me. Now, mind you, 4 or 5, years have passed. So I'm already reading and spelling and writing songs. So I started singing. In the middle of me singing, I just broke down crying. And it was like, why? I said, I'm reading. So everything that I've learned, I've taught myself. I've taught myself how to play different instruments that I don't tell people that I do. And I taught it for myself because I didn't want people to know that I did it, because I was too afraid they were going to try to use it. So I wanted to learn it for myself to know, is this something you want to share, or is this for you? And I felt like through the years that people have heard me singing, thank God for it. But that wasn't a time. So the time of people hearing me in the back, oh, you should have been in the front. No, I was where I was, because the Bible says the first become the last and the last become the first. Now I'm first. I waited, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It's okay not to take everybody's advice. I'm really, I have people that I can count on one hand that I'll get advice from. And even as just having that discernment of knowing who to ask what.
That's the word.
And I was, because everybody's input is not necessary. That's half the battle, I've noticed too.
Seats. Now you said that that Freedom single that he has on your first project is doing well overseas. Hey now.
Well, that came out in 2014, right?
Yeah.
That was 2014. That song really, there's 18 songs on the project. It's a compilation of a bunch of a plethora of talent, musicians, artists, writers, people that I just caught up, and they were just there. They showed up, and that whole album got done in 1 month. 18 songs in 1 month, and every song has a different set of musicians on it. Every song has a different set of writers and artists on it. And it was just something I wanted to do I'm not a big fan of projects coming out and all you see is just that person. That one person did everything on it. It's okay to have that ability, but there's something about including the community onto a project to make it, to leave that evidence. Because you walking around by yourself, that gets old really fast. You know what I mean? Thank God that we can do that, but let's demo it, but then let's get everybody else on it too, So yeah, that song really hit well overseas. Cause I used to go back, and I really never monitor the charts. I don't go look at, what's on Billboard this week. I've just never been that dude. And there have been times where I've been on Billboard we broke records on Billboard, and people used to always have to tell me that, because I never used to want to know. Because I didn't want that to be why I did things. I don't want to do things to please this demographic that's buying this song the most, or I don't want to cater to anything. I want this music. And what's funny is different songs are going to resonate with different people, different continents, different everything. So just do it. And we'll see later what happens with it. But I'm not going to monitor it. I always give that analogy of, if we're going to sow a seed, if we're going to plant a seed into the dirt, we don't have time to stand over it and watch it grow.
Right.
Go plant some more, But
don't be looking for it. Once you do that, keep going. But that's what people do. They do one project and they waiting like, okay, and while you're waiting, someone else is working.
Well,
can I say what the project has done? I can't speak for everybody else, but the project allowed me as an artist to connect with other artists that I probably wouldn't be able to connect with if it wasn't for the project, meeting you, beautiful. And also, and your beautiful voice and us connecting. Fab from Milli Vanilli, and Mouthpiece, like
Ingrid.
Fab. Yeah, like all of these people, I was able to
It's
speak
a
to these people,
family.
and yeah, and Fab
It
is
is.
always checking on me, dropping knowledge on me.
You
So
know
it's like
what?
that project opened
This
doors.
this is the beauty of it, because accumulated, there's 46 people a part of that project. And everybody's blessed from it. I see y'all online engaged with each other. Everybody keep, like you said, it's now a new family under that umbrella of CDO. And there's a method to my madness. And I can't wait until all of us are on the same stage. There's a method there's a process going on here, y'all.
That's gonna be fire, okay?
Seats does not
It's gonna
stop.
be lit.
But I asked that because I know that Freedom is you're working on a European album, right?
Yes.
You want to tell us a little something about that, or is that like a secret? It's under Wraps project.
Well, it's more than one. All glory to God. It's my personal stuff, and then I've had the honor to be, through working with other artists, to be attached to 2 other artists' European projects that I've already recorded for, and the music is there already, but I'll be able to announce it soon. And when I do, I would like to share it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But outside of them, mine, it's entitled "You Don't Own My Life." And it speaks about how God places people in your life for a season of an assignment, but somewhere along the line, because God used them to help propel you, they believe that you owe them. Or you're in a relationship with a best friend, and a best friend seeing somebody checking you out, and they're telling you, yo, they ain't good, but the whole time they want you. All of this ownership and titleship. And when the enemy was attacking me and I was able to make it out of the hospital, I fought for my life. I did the work that I had to do. And I said, God, like, what is this? And he said, just breathe. And so I began to just get my life together. I became vegan, 280 pounds. I'm now 130 now,
Man.
healthy. And I wanted to write about that. I wanted to write about what it was to be mentally abused several times, to the capacity that you forget your own identity. I wanted to write about what I learned about when 2 broken people get together, one has to die for the other one to live. I wanted to write about never forsaking your happiness to be happy, or you'll always be miserable. I wanted to write about what it means to lose the very breath in you when my mom passed and my daughter, was taken away from me, at the time. It was so many things that God allowed me to go through. And I wanted to share that with all in one. One thing I learned about Prince, Luther, Michael, and all of these people, they wrote for the nations. They wrote for the embodiment. And I have that voice to paint the picture and tell the story. So that's why I'll say, I sing jazz, I sing R&B, I sing gospel. Like, I'm sound. I'm whatever that needs to be out. Like, I know I'm going to be ready for it. And so I learned being on stage, it's an exchange. So if I'm singing to you, whatever is on me is going to you. What's on you is coming to me. So through the process, I remembered my pastor when I left one of my shows with my R&B group before Pockets, and my pastor put me off the praise and worship team. And he said, God knows exactly who you are. He said, you've served long enough. He said, I need you to leave. And he told me to leave the church. He said, God knows who you are, and I need you to stand still while keep moving forward. And so with that, I wanted to embody that all into one and allow people to hear and feel my pain. But God needed me to go through it, be healed from it. So as I'm singing it, I'm not reliving it. So I've managed, and I'm strong enough to speak about it, and it's going to heal people because it healed me.
And we should probably clear that up, because I know you don't mean spiritually leave the church. You mean physically a place. Is that okay?
Yeah, because the thing is like, when you die, to clear it up, it's like a spiritual death. So he saw me in the church and he was like, you're here, but I need you to leave, still serve, like come back and be fed. But far as doing praise and worship, he was like, nope, go sing R&B. And I'm like, no, like he was like, God knows who you are. And then I got up on stage and it was 2 homeless men on the side and I was pumping and grinding the mic at the time. And when I got off stage, they said, can we have prayer? And I'm looking around like, who, me? They was like, yeah, we see it. And I was like, oh. So God started to show me little things like that. So overall in my project, I really want to share sound. And what is sound? It's breath. And it's 2 breaths. It's that first breath of knowing that you have it. And then it's that second one of let's go get this shit. But no one pays attention to the first one. So I want to sing about the first breath.
That's deep.
Yes.
Deep. Yeah.
Get it, man. I cannot wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it. I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you, bro. Look at what he said. I
tells
can't
you
wait
that.
to hear it. I want you to be on it. Like, what are we doing?
Hey, well, I never like I have to be invited. I'm not gonna be that dude like, hey, nah,
Yeah, we've always had that relationship.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bombard your stuff, but I'll always have something going on over here.
Bombard me. So no, bro, we really need to talk.
All right. Yeah.
And that I know you will.
Yeah, so outside of that, that's taking a process. I actually just got a phone call from a producer. I'm working with this company called GDIC TV. And I've been working with them this year. And I just did a secret like project with them. And they called me last minute to do it, but I ain't had no band because I got rid of everybody. So they said, can you sing? I did a little white lie. I was like, yeah, I got a band. Like, let's go. He was like, all right, set the date up. I had nobody. I prayed and said, God, who do I get? He gave me 3 musicians. I called them last minute. Every last one of them dropped what they did and instantly came. They said, what are we doing? I said, I have music in my head that I haven't sung. I told them the story. I told them the depths of it. And I said, now make it applicable. Like we're supposed to hear the word and make it applicable. And then you tell your own story. And they did. And every song that I sung, it was like we've been singing for years. And it was just like a flow or organically. And everybody was able to tell their story. And that's been the set for me differently, being hired and working with people because I'm too organic or to this and to that. And I backed away from it. But I was like, yo, this is what I do.
I mean,
you like it or you don't like it. Yeah. So I can't change that.
You don't. You don't. You're not supposed to. It's not fair to art.
Right.
It'll work. It always works itself out. I used to consider sometimes, and then you have to really that's when that faith and that bravery comes in. It's just like, I cannot care what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
I can't. That's not fair to like the whole process. It's already going to be jaded and tainted if you approach it in the wrong way. It's like, nah,
Right. But the other thing I had to look at was, and I know you guys know, is like when you're moving and you meet certain celebrities that you're like, yeah, but they're the ones telling you that. And you're just like, so do I listen to them because they're where they are? So once you learn, you can't, like you said, you can't listen to everybody. So it's a growth.
The world put them there.
Right.
Wherever there is. That is not.
And unless you're trying to get exactly where they are, you know what I mean? But like, you're not supposed to be where they are because you're supposed to be where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So while that may look like, something you want to aspire to, no, you still want to aspire to your own place, and you're not going to get there the same way that they got there.
These are, and I always break that down to when people ask me, how did you end up here and there? And I'm like, this is a customized circumstance individually. So I can testify all day until I'm blue in the face, but I'm not necessarily telling you to do this, nor am I, it might not happen in that way. It may happen slower, faster, who knows? But what the thing
nobody
to do
wants to take the time to build relationships.
It takes
like everybody want to be connected. Build a relationship. How do you build? Get in their inbox. No, buy a ticket to not one of their shows, all of their shows. Stay consistent if you love them. Buy their can I cuss? Buy their music.
Support.
Buy their music. Share. I know, right?
But just being in somebody's inbox is not a connection. Just meeting
no,
somebody for the first
no.
time
Nope.
is not a connection. You have to
Nope.
actually connect and vibe in some way. And you know, a lot of people miss that. But I was going to also
Right.
say, you know what? What's for you is what's for you, and what's not is not.
Correct.
It's not.
And so, you know, sometimes people are out here trying to get something that looks good because somebody else has it, but it may not even be for you.
Correct.
Yeah, it might be for that person behind you.
Right.
I don't want it. Take it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. My path is not going to
good.
be normal. And I embrace it when it doesn't look how something else looks, because that's just their
Right.
test. That's their story.
Somebody told me one day, they said, Freedom, wow, I thought you would be further than this. I said, wow, I thought the same for you.
Ain't nothing
What
wrong
are we
with that.
doing?
And there's nothing wrong with that. But I bet you they got offended before
They did.
But they let it come out of their mouth though. But it was okay when they said it.
I've never saw your
I can't-
Cash App to enhance anything that I'm doing. When you do that, when you want to pay my daughters, you know, and all that, then we can talk. Until then,
I don't understand why we feel like our opinions are necessary all the time.
it's not.
We don't. Why do we need to feel a need to give what we feel about things? It's not that, and especially there's a way to deliver it. But nobody. That was
I'll
just
go
rude.
deeper. I'll go deeper than that. I don't know why they think it's okay to think. Just sometimes just.
Yeah.
So many layers to that, because you know what? Somebody's idea of what further is, I mean, that's all. I can't even think of the word right now. I'm just so shook. But it's like, how do you know what my further is?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
we're 3-part beings. Let's talk
Correct.
about where are you at mentally, where are you at spiritually, where you at physically. You looking at just one
Thank
lane.
you.
Okay,
Correct.
I'm traveling down 5 lanes at the same time.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And I told people, as I was telling you, like when people ask, like, I chose to be where I am. Nothing happened. You stopped and I chose to be where I am. Karen Clark told me when I was in Savannah one year, she said, there's no way that you can call yourself a minister. She was just openly speaking when we were talking, and you have no covering.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have some type of covering. And I'm just like, ouch, do I have a covering? You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had to call my pastor, you know, and just get back covered. But I said, I chose to be where I am. I chose to leave one group, 2 group. I chose to leave a tour. I chose to get a divorce. I chose to move to DC when my mother was passing in Baltimore, because I knew the only way that she would go is if God would move me. So God needed me to move so that she could exit to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everything is a transition, you know, that we have to go through. We may not want to do it, but what is it of what we want? It's all what he needs us to do. So to go into when people are doing stuff to us, I had to learn it's not you. It's the spirit that is in you that is not connecting with the spirit that is on that person. Like, people hate me. No, they don't hate you. There's certain spirits that is attached to you that they can't do. And what I've learned by working with, you know, Eric, there were a lot of people that told me that the song was horrible and it was going to be not good, talking about So in Love. And I just was like, okay, great. But what Martin said, they called me. So what I learned from that project is how to be able to keep still and be still and just let your work speak for itself. You don't have to say it's here. They know that it's there. You just have to keep going and take your time, and don't what your CD allowed me to do is to be free vocally. You know, it wasn't like I had to do this. So I was able to do things that I never thought of or whatever. And it wasn't like, let me cut this off. Like, I was able to be free and just express my color. And that means a lot for an artist like me, because he could have sent it back like, nah, can you kind of just was like, okay, we're going to make it happen. So it allowed me to be free in my expressions. And a lot of producers and people don't do that.
I appreciate
so thank
that.
you.
And that, well, that's what collaborating is, allowing you to bring to the table what you do. And that's the challenge of being a good producer, working with that many different people, meeting them where they are. Not everybody coming over here, do something Seats does. Nah, so the challenge in it is just like, okay, that's who he is. I'm gonna build around that. I'll build around that. And that's development. And that's the challenge that I put out there for myself. So I don't become so, predictable. You know, it's like, nah, y'all gonna have to just take this journey with me.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. All right. So listen, Freedom, we're going to get ready to wrap up. But before we do, why don't you, throw out some information in terms of how people can connect with you, reach you, stay, up on everything that you're doing, what's going on.
Support this man.
Support. Yes.
I know, right?
Lift a brother up.
As of right now, it's just going to be Instagram right now. And that's FREEDOM IMANI. How you spell my name? FREEDOM IMANI. And I am starting to rebuild up my YouTube page, and I'm working on my new website, just rebranding and everything. But just Instagram for right now. Like, someone broke into my account on Facebook, so I really don't do a lot on there. But everybody can find everything on Instagram. Like, the first thing that people are going to see is GDIC, the project that I did with them, and then behind that, all the other stuff. So I'm really pushing GDICD because that's the event that I told you guys that I just did. So yeah,
go follow him, go support him, go like, press share, and all the above. You know what to do on social media, y'all.
Yeah, y'all know what to do.
Y'all know what to do.
Just do it. Well, we appreciate you, sharing with us your soul, your experience, your stories. We love that you came on. And we're going to call it a wrap for this week. Seeks, you got anything before I do the final wrap?
That was it. Everybody be motivated, stay encouraged, stay busy. Stay busy. Keep yourself busy. Create it. Create it. Whatever it is, create it.
Yes. We'll be back next Thursday, y'all. You have been listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative M Projects. I'm Melissa Sharee, here with Grammy Award-winning producer Eric Seats and the one and only FREEDOM IMANI. Y'all, till next week, keep creating from the inside out. Peace.
Peace, everybody.